Hello, friends. I'm not even sure what official day this is of our quarantine slash isolation. It is Sunday, March 22nd. We are officially into spring. I know that much. Does that count? What I do know is that I want to try and help you get your central nervous system a little settled in. A lot of us are on high alert right now for very, very good reasons, but that means we're going into our survival brain and we are not using as much logic and reason as we can. If you're not sleeping well, that's me. The past couple nights, I have actually been kind of coming in and out of sleep with some anxiety stuff going on. So anyway, all of that is to say, we're probably on high alert. And I think that your central nervous system would really enjoy it if you did this, right? Okay, here's the setup. This could be a coffee table, a couch, a chair, anything. We're going to lay on our backs with our shins up. So anything that'll catch your shins and support your shins. I have a cold metal chair. I put a blanket on mine, so I have a softness as well as a little bit of warmth underneath my legs. I have put another blanket at the base where my hips are going to be. So my hips will be elevated. So both my heels, pardon me, my heels and my hips are going to be higher than my heart. So I'll be in a mild inversion. If you know you're not supposed to be doing inversions, I would not put this underneath your hips, but I think you'll still be okay with your feet above unless you know you have something that the doctor said don't do that. And then you're just going to lie down on your back. You can also sit or kneel or whatever, right? But this is where we get to relax every muscle on a deeper level. So I'm going to suggest this position if it's okay for you. It's a variation for my yogurt friends. It's a variation of legs up the wall. This is a much softer, more accessible version, and we can usually stay here longer. But I don't have a Mexican blanket at my house. Whoa, that's crazy, yo. Most of us don't, right? But we got pillows, we got couch cushions, we have books we could put a blanket over potentially, but just something that you can have underneath. Now I'm going to show the position so I can talk a little bit more just about that briefly, and then we're going to start to go into that scan. You can always fast forward through this too once you get what's going on. I would do this on a regular basis, maybe every night before you go to bed. I'm starting to add it into my routine. So, feet. Legs, I should say shins, up on whatever that surface is. You'll notice I'm right up to the crease of my knee, so I come up pretty close to that chair. I can always lift my buttocks, putting my feet on my support system and move that blanket. I don't want it under the low back with the butt hanging down. I want it under my sacrum, so my sacrum is supported. I have nothing really underneath my low back. If this hurts your low back, take the blanket out, bam, done, right? If you have something where you're a little bit high and your ankles are not supported, your heels, I would put another something underneath your heels. You want your body to feel a full support system here, right? So that you have, so the body, the central nervous system is like, oh, my body is supported, it's okay. Yeah, you can say that. It doesn't mean that your central nervous system feels that, right? So we're talking to a deeper level, a subtler level in our body right now. You'll notice I move my shoulder blades down my back. My elbows are out just a little bit from my body. I can put a belly on my hand and a belly on my hand, a hand on my belly, and a hand on my heart, two hands on bellies. My arms can be out by the side, palms up. If I'm a little chilly, I'm going to cover myself up with a blanket. Support yourself. If the head's got something groovy going on and you need support, but try not to have it too crammed up. You don't want that neck to be too out of line, right? So from this place, you don't need to look at the device anymore. You're going to have that. You're gonna. I'm realizing how much I say that. Jiminy Christmas. I invite you to find that your head is neither rocking to the right or the left. It's neutral, face up towards the ceiling. That your chin's not jutting up to the sky, nor is it shoving down towards your chest. All sides of the neck are long. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring our awareness into our toes, the bottom side, the bottom surface. Were you standing, it would be the bottom of your toes on the ground, right? So bring your awareness to your toes and just feel the bottom of your toes. And then tune into the bottom of the soles of the feet. We're going to scan through the body. If any muscles are tight, soften them. Or if you don't feel tightness, you can just bring awareness to that part of the body and maybe have just a little love language, right? I love you. Thank you for being here and supporting me, feet. Scanning the back of the ankles. So we're going to go down the back side of the body first, softening the back of the calves, the back of the knees, bring your awareness into the back of your thighs, your hamstrings, and soften. I personally just realized how tight my right side was, and my hip and my hamstrings. Right? Not saying you do, just saying, right? We just start to notice. I thought I was soft. Nope, I sure wasn't. Bring your awareness into the back side of your pelvis and your hips. And the back side of the sacrum. Start to bring that awareness up into your low back. Softening into that middle back area. And letting that come on up. Bottom part of the ribs, where the kidneys are, up to the middle part of the rib cage. The upper back and in between the shoulder blades, around, under, on top of the shoulder blades. Check into those muscles that run from the neck over to the shoulders. And then we're going to pause in the back of the neck. Soften the back of the neck. And as you soften the back of the neck, I want you to imagine that that even starts to come around from particularly where the skull and the neck connect. Can that softness then even start to move forward towards the jaw? Can it start to move up, right, around the fascia that runs over the scalp, the back of the scalp, the back of the head? Moving that all around until it comes up over to the top of the head, the sides of the head, the scalp softens till you get to the forehead, and you're softening your forehead. Checking into your eyebrows, the muscles that run around the eyes. And for any of my friends who want to play with fine-tuning their awareness, I'd love for you to bring your awareness into there are 6 muscles that hold and move your eyeball, each of them. So imagine that all of those muscles, all 12 of them, soften. And the eyeballs soften and sink towards the socket. And then let that come back or down in this instance if you're lying down to the temples, and start to soften the temples, knowing that that muscle runs down to the jaw and past the inner ear. Can your inner ears soften? Can your jaw soften? Softening the muscles of the cheeks, around the nose, softening the lips, softening the tongue. Check into the tip of the tongue. Let it just widen and fall wherever it naturally does in the mouth when it's not tense. And then even softening the back of the throat. The back of the tongue as it leads down the throat. So that muscle, that tongue muscle, goes down and connects in the throat. So as we soften the back, the base of the tongue, we're softening our throat, our neck again. And then let that run down the front of the neck. So now we're going down the front of the body. We're going to go ahead and come on down to the front of the shoulders. Going down the front of the arms, or what I'm going to call the biceps, right? The eye of the elbow, elbows, the front of the forearm, or inside of the forearm, we might say, the inner wrist, the palm of your hands, the inside of the fingers, right? You've got 3 different pieces of those fingers, those digits, if you think of your knuckles. So the one that's right next to the palm, and then the second segment, and then the third segment. Let it wrap around your tippy fingers until it comes around to the back side. And again, maybe even think of those segments, the very tip of the back side where the fingernails rest, the middle part of the fingers, the part that runs into the hand, and then soften the backs of your hands, the backs of your wrists, the backs of your forearms, or the outside, we might say, backs of the elbows, backs of the arms, aka your triceps, and the back sides of the shoulders. But then you're going to go ahead and you're going to bring it into your armpits, and I'd love for you to soften your armpits and particularly check into the muscle that runs on the front side of the armpits from the chest over to the upper arm. Can you soften those muscles on either side? Very protective muscles those are. They help us round our chest forward and do a lot of lifting and things like that. So they might be more engaged than usual right now. Softening across from the armpit area to the chest, right? The collarbones and that whole area that runs underneath the collarbones, the chest, the breasts, down towards the low ribs, the diaphragm. And actually, let's pause and even go, let's think about softening the heart and the lungs. And then bring that down again to the diaphragm and the low ribs. Softening the abdomen, and let's dive deeper into that, right? Yes, there's the muscles that are in the front of the abdomen or even the side, the obliques, but can you soften more than your muscular body? Can you think about softening your stomach and your spleen and your pancreas and your liver and your kidneys, the small intestine, the large intestine, right? Think about all those reproductive organs in there and all the muscles and fascia that are in the inner bowl of the pelvis and that run around each of our organs and muscles and bones. And we're all the way down in the very base of the pelvis, the pelvic bowl, down by the pubic bone. And I'd love for you to think about softening the muscles that run from the base of the pelvis over to the inside of the thighs. And can you soften those? And then come into the front of the thighs, the outer thighs, softening the front of the knees, the front of the shins, the front of the ankles, of the feet, front of the toes to the tippy toes. And just see if you can bring your awareness into the big toes, right? And think of being in the very tip of both of those toes. And can you sense without moving, this is hard stuff actually, can you sense without moving the tips of your second toes? See if you can identify the tips of the third toes, the fourth toes, and the fifth toes. We don't differentiate those. They usually move as one whole unit for the most part. So when we get into the, not the big toes, but the other toes, since they move in unison and all fire together, they're wired together to our brains. So it's often hard to distinguish or decipher them as independent beings. So if that was like, what? You're not alone. Don't worry. And then just scan the body as a whole. See if there's any place that started to tense up again. And if so, that might give you something that when you're not doing this body scan and you're in your regular routine in your day, You can bring your awareness there as often as you remember and see if indeed that is tensing and can it soften. And then when we come out of this, we want to come out of this with intention, calm, softness, slowness, whatever, that phrase is, that word that speaks to you. But we want to try and, we just hopefully cultivated some calm and we settled our nervous system down. So let's try to keep that as calm as we can on our way up. So you might just bring a little bit of movement to fingers or toes. It might feel nice after having that stillness to just really gently let the head not pick it up, but just really gently let it rock to the right and then back to center and over to the left again. And if you want to get a little bigger with the motions, rotating ankles or wrists or stretching the arms overhead. Before you come up, I just want to point out, in this position, if you chose the position I suggested, again, we're in that mild inversion, and we were allowing our blood, our fluid, our lymphatic fluid, right, all that stuff to drain from our feet and our ankles and start to move closer to the heart, where it cleanses itself so it can recirculate with new good juju. Yeah. So you might bring those feet to the edge of your surface. You might bring them into the chest and even give yourself a little hug, rocking a little right to left if that feels good. Slow rock, slow rock. You can roll to the right or the left. I like to bring my arm overhead. I'm rolling to my left side, so my left arm would go overhead, and I bring those knees down to the ground, and I just pause there for a moment. And again, as I've been kind of trying to coach y'all, don't let your head lift you up. This is 13 pounds. If you're trying to lift with your neck first, oh, the poor neck and upper trap, those poor muscles. So push into the hand and let the hand do more of the work as you start to push yourself up. And then, towards the end, the neck engages. And you come up to seated or whatever, on a chair, whatever works for you. Do that version. And if this is helpful, you can stay there longer. A, you don't have to get up when I'm done, right, talking. B, you might do it in the evening before you go to bed at night. I mean, like last thing, like brush your teeth, do the business. That once you do this, you simply walk over to your bed and lay down and move into sleep, right? Hopefully. You might do it anytime you feel like you're getting heightened. Just take a break. And even if it's not this longer version we just did, close your eyes, scan your jaw, your tongue, your eyes, right? It is an extremely useful tool. So you'd start to find out where you're holding tension, if you're holding tension, and how can you release some of that so that you're not in the survival brain in this fight or flight mode, right? Have I told you yet today how much I love you?